Lines. Benjamin Moore Paint has been added at Westside Decorating Center. Stop in, visit them today, 5789 State Street. And a good morning and a brand new week to you here on WSGW. I'm Art Lewis. Nice to have you with us this morning. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, we'll be starting out talking to Bailey Parwell. Bailey is the guest speaker for the Merida Peace Symposium coming up. We'll have Michael Goad, the president of Dow Credit Union, with us on Focus at 11 o'clock. Open phones this hour and for a part of next hour anyway. So anything you want to chat about, give us a call. 989-752-6111 is the number. And we'll be happy to have a conversation with you. This is a week in which nothing happens in Rome to select a new pope other than it's 9 days of mourning. And on May 7th, the conclave begins, and it will catch the world's attention. And it is interesting to me, and I admit that I'm one of them. Many people in the world, millions and millions of people in the world, will be glued to their tubes watching for the white smoke of all religions. You know I'm Jewish. I have no horse in the race at all, but yet I don't think I've missed a papal conclave that I can remember in my lifetime. There's something fascinating about it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the secrecy or the way it's done, but it is a fascinating event. And beginning May 7th, they all gather, and there will be typically there are about 4 votes a day in the conclave, and in order to become pope, you must get 2/3 of the votes of the voting cardinals. And I make sure you understand voting cardinals. Not all cardinals can vote. If you are 80 or above, you are forbidden from voting. So it is estimated there are about 135 cardinals who have the vote. And the vote continues until they have a pope. Now, if they go 33 rounds of voting, then they reduce the field of candidates to the top 2 vote getters. And then in order to win, one of those 2 has to get 2/3 of the vote. After each vote, they send up smoke, black for no winner, and finally white when they have a new pope. So it'll be interesting to watch. It always is. And I have no idea why. I mean, it's boring because you're watching nothing, really, because you can't tell what's going on inside. It's totally private and sealed, literally sealed. They're sealed in the Sistine Chapel. So you just sit there and stare at the tube waiting for the smoke. But what can I tell you? Let's talk to Mike in Thomas Township. Mike, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Art. How are you doing this fine morning?
All right.
Beautiful.
Turn your radio down.
Oh, I'm sitting too close to it. Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering why people are so set on getting these people that they've transported to El Salvador, for in the prisons, back in the United States.
Well, because the questions have been raised on 2 of them, whether or not they should have been sent. And it seems logical to me that those questions would be raised. I don't know that I agree with the questioning, but that's why.
Well, to me, they were illegally in this country. Well, I know the 2 that you're talking about. One of them he's got on his hands, the code for his organization.
Yeah, I know. I've heard all that stuff, but that doesn't matter.
But also he got picked up transporting people from Texas into Tennessee. I don't know where they were going, and so he was trafficking.
Whoa!
Well, that's
just so we understand. Yeah, he was stopped. He was driving what he said was his boss's car, who was a known trafficker. And he had 8 people in the car who all gave the same address, his.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, if it was that obvious, why the trooper let him go?
That puzzled me also. I do not understand that. But then also, he, twice for beating his wife. Again.
Yeah, I know. We can rehash this all you want. The fact nothing changes.
I know, but what I'm saying is he's not an innocent person, and they keep on saying that he's a Maine,
Maryland man.
Maryland resident, or he's not. Never was. First off, he's illegal in his country. And the thing that puzzles me is the courts back then, though. Remember, we had Biden in his administration, so the courts could do whatever they pleased. They brought him in twice to deport him, and he never got deported. Why?
Yeah, I understand. All that's been hashed and rehashed and hashed again.
Then why are they worried about bringing him back? First off, the courts don't even really have a say in that matter because they're not it wasn't a
well, they have a
court.
say in it, but they can't do anything about it because if El Salvador doesn't want to release him, he's not going anywhere.
That's exactly right. But I just hate to see this happening in this country where people don't really care about the people in this country. They worry more about the...
Well, let's understand...
It isn't just...
Mike, let's understand something. Not everybody sees it the way you do.
Yeah, well, I understand that but I also know that there's an awful lot of going on where they just think that if the criminals have more rights than the person that they're offending. And it isn't just migrants, I'm talking about, you see that all the time where the courts seem to favor the criminal.
Yeah, it depends where you are. Depends where you are. Well, that's true in places.
Well, that's true, too, yes. I think Michigan is pretty decent about that, especially Saginaw in this area. I don't even worry about that. Same thing with the school systems. Excellent school systems here compared to, what's happening in some of these other states and... But, anyway, I just can't see why people fight for that all the time.
All right.
And it don't make sense.
Good enough.
Okay.
Thanks.
Have a great day now.
Yep. Bye-bye. And we'll get to more calls in just a couple of moments here. Let me chat with you about McDonald Ford in Freeland, because you've probably noticed it's getting harder and harder to find products that say Made in America. And with the tariffs out there, we're all looking at that. And now with the uncertainty of tariffs, it's become even more important. McDonald Ford, in anticipation of tariffs, stocked their lot with tariff-free vehicles with many more en route. Not only are they tariff-free, but Ford is offering employee pricing for everyone. That means you pay the same price as Ford employees do. In addition, Chrysler and import buyers considering a Ford also receive the lowest price offered. Chevy truck buyers can now get the truck they always wanted, the Ford F-150, also at employee pricing. So you see, now is the right time to visit McDonald Ford M47 in Freeland for the best selection and lowest possible price. Don't let tariffs prevent you from getting the vehicle of your choice at a price you can afford. Visit McDonald Ford in Freeland today. Remember, tariff-free and employee pricing for everyone.
Attention! If you owe money...
All right, we're back with you. If you noticed probably that we did not have the business report from Fox. We're having some technical issues, so we'll work hard to get it restored as quickly as we can. Al is in Bay City. Al, good morning.
Good morning, Arthur. Yesterday on Meet the Press, Rubio, the Secretary of State, was asked how close we are to a deal with Russia and Ukraine, and he said this is really the most critical week this week, that if something's going to happen, it's going to happen this week. So I think they're pretty close to making a deal, and I just wondered what your take was on that.
I'm not so sure. They've said that before. I know the president met with Zelensky at the Vatican, and he's not happy with Putin. But it all revolves around Putin, because if Putin doesn't agree to the terms, it doesn't happen. So I'm let's put it this way: I'm hopeful, but I'm not optimistic.
Do you think that Russia wants the Crimea back then, or what?
Oh, right. My guess is no matter what happens, Russia ends up with the Crimea. And I think I read someplace where now in recent conversations, Zelensky might be willing to acknowledge the fact that the Crimea is not part of the Ukraine anymore.
Well, anyway, I think it's going to be something to look at if something's going to break.
Well, hopefully it does. I mean, let's face it, it's gone on long enough.
Yep.
So,
well, we'll just have to hope it does.
All right. Good enough, Al.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. Here's Errol in Saginaw. Errol, good morning.
Where have you been watching Dwarf Tossing?
What?
Never mind the sport that used to be in Saginaw. So I'm not going to touch the bat again. I got something else I want to say. I've thought this for a long time. I'm watching what Trump is doing. It reminds me of the leader in Germany before Second World War came about.
Oh, come on. Not that
Surrounded
again.
himself, what?
If you're going to compare him to Hitler, I'm sorry. That's just not going to happen.
Well, I know, but that's the way I feel. What he's doing in this country, he thinks he ought to take over everything and make all the decisions for everyone. I don't think he's done any darn good for this country.
Well, you have that right,
A
Earl.
lot of senior, huh?
Larry, you have that right. A lot of people think he has, although his numbers are down now because of the tariffs and it all goes back to the economic factors, and I've said this before. He's got 6 months to prove himself, because after the 6 months, we're into the midterms, and the midterms will tell the story.
But he's doing away with everything that the seniors are used to, their Social Security.
Wait.
Yeah.
No, don't say that. He didn't do away with Social Security. I got my check. Did you get yours?
I'm sorry. Wrong terminology.
Very. But see, that's the problem. That's the problem. It's easy to say it, and then you say, oh, it's just wrong terminology after you said it.
Well, do you think the seniors in our country are happy? I don't think so.
They are. I would say they're probably concerned, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I understand that, but nobody's not received their check. As a matter of fact, all the complaints about he's going to reduce the IRS staff. We're not going to get anything done. I submitted my taxes. It only took them a week to cash my check, so I figure, well, there's got to be a lot of people there because it didn't take them very long.
Well, that's true. But what's wrong with Congress? They have no backbone to put them in a box. What's wrong with them?
Well, what's wrong with Congress? What do you mean what's wrong with Congress? First of all, the House and Senate are the same party.
So they're going to go along with everything he wants, huh?
They haven't so far. I mean, they haven't given him all he wants yet.
Well, I go back to the January the 6th. You think they stole the election from him? I don't. I think that was created by him.
Okay, that's fine. A lot of people do.
You mean, won't you agree with me, sir? Thank you.
No, I don't agree with you. I just said a lot of people do. So.
Yes, I know. But eventually they'll get the message.
All right.
Talk to you later, sir.
Good enough.
Take her easy.
Bye-bye now.
Go play golf.
Yeah, that's an idea. And here's Scott in Saginaw. Scott, good morning.
Hey, morning, Art. First off, Donald Trump is making decisions for the majority of us because the majority of us voted him in to do exactly that.
However, I will point out to you, his numbers are declining, even among Republicans, because they're getting. And you know why? Because they're getting impatient.
It's the media. The media can't find one solid thing to do. Right. We're doing well. When any company, I mean, gosh, it's going to take time. It takes time to turn a ship.
Yeah, absolutely. So I agree with you there. However, you and I may agree on that, but you got to convince the overwhelming majority of the American public who voted him in to make changes because they wanted to see their store prices go down and all of that stuff. And even though you and I may agree that it takes time to fix the ship, some people aren't patient. You have to understand that.
Well, no. To me, what's going on here with the tariffs is just like road construction. Nobody wants road construction. It's an inconvenience. It ticks most of us off. We got to go out of our way. We got to do things. But when it's all said and done, we forgot all about it, and we drive down a nice, smooth road.
Yep, I agree with you 100% on that. That's the way I view them, too.
But now, back to your other caller here. You guys were talking about the Maryland man when he got pulled over.
Yeah.
The FBI was involved with that. The sheriff, because stuff was suspicious in the car, the FBI was contacted. The FBI came. They're the ones who linked all the human trafficking. But because of the lawlessness of the Joe Biden administration, the FBI was told, you release that man and everybody with him. So that's why they were released and nothing took place. That was Joe Biden and his lawlessness. And it still continues. Now, here we go. 2 more Democrat judges. We have a couple, I think in Texas, was hiding some illegal. Gave the guy access to his guns.
New Mexico.
And then we had another Democrat judge who helped smash a phone for an illegal because it had images of that man beating people and dismember. I don't know. And this is your Democratic Party of today.
Well, you know what I was glad to see? I was glad to see that judge in where was she? New England, someplace. Or Wisconsin, I forgot now. They took her into custody, charged her with obstruction. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that.
Well, I'm noticing a lot of this. Letitia James, she might have herself a prison number as well.
She might have herself a rather interesting situation for which she'll need an attorney.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that kind of funny, too? It seems like, I mean, you can go all the way back. Michael Avenatti, where's he at? Prison, that's right.
Who cares about him? But, you know, the thing about Letitia James is apparently one of the things that are being contemplated as charges are pretty much exactly what she went after Trump for.
Except on one property, her and her dad are actually legally married.
Yeah, how about that?
So there's a big difference there.
Yeah, how about that? Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's the mic drop moment. I'll talk to you later, Art.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Right, bye.
Here's Bob in Saginaw. Bob, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art.
Morning.
Hey, I have to say Trump is doing what we voted him in to do, and we are all going to have to sacrifice in order to get the country back to where it belongs. We cannot continue to go trillions of dollars, $35 trillion in debt. Someday somebody's going to have to pay the pauper, and we're going to have to sacrifice to get it straight, and it's going to take some time. Unfortunately, I don't think he can do it in the 4 years that he has right now. Hopefully, the next president that comes in is on the same boat he's on and continues what's going on.
No, that's up to us.
It's great to be able to. I'll be long gone before this gets straightened out, I'm sure. But the fact of the matter is you've got to do something in this direction. The seasoned politicians that have been in there for years have only one way of doing things, and that is to print money and
spend
they're
it.
criminal as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, spend it. We've got to change. This is when I voted for Obama, I hoped that he was going to be the man that was going to make a change the first time. He did not change anything. He jumped right on political band and continued with what was happening and maybe making it worse as far as I was concerned. I did not vote for him the second time. But with Trump, his first time in office, he stepped right in there and tried to do things. He didn't have the powers that he has now because he didn't have the backing. But today he has the backing. He's still going farther than what these traditional, even the Republicans, want to go.
Well, if you didn't have
what has to be done.
I'm going to take you back to 16 because it wasn't necessarily that he didn't have the backing. I think, in my opinion, he went after the wrong things first, and that cost him. If you remember back then, if he had come into office and the first thing he went after was an infrastructure package, he would have been successful. Instead, they came into office and they went after Obamacare incessantly.
Yeah.
And it cost him. It cost him because he didn't end up with a positive beginning.
Right. Well, right now, his ratings are going down a little bit. But if people can sit back and see that what's going on is the correct thing to happen, these tariffs sound real scary to one person, where to me, they sound like it's going to put our American people back to work. They'll be on an equal basis of working and producing here, where they don't have something coming in from Canada. Canada. Well, that too. China.
It's a negotiating tool.
We can't compete.
It's a negotiating tool. We'll see what happens.
This is where the media stumps in there too many times and downs it, and they make it look bad. And what he's doing is correct.
Here's the problem. China and the United States, it's a game of chicken. Who's going to blink first? Right. And I don't know the answer to that. All right.
Well, hopefully it's them.
Got to run.
Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep.
All right, Russ and Greg, hang on. We'll get to you when we return.
I'm attorney Jerry Reif, and I have...
I was glad to see that judge arrested. Now I'm just wondering if we're going to see the same thing with the sheriffs of Saginaw and Bay County.
Why?
See where they recently came out dedicated to legal immigration?
No, that's not what they did. Wait a minute. That's not what they did. Don't convolute what they did. That's not what they did at all. First of all, Saginaw, I can only talk about Saginaw because I know them. Saginaw does comply with detainers from ICE. They do cooperate when they have a prisoner that's arrested, that's undocumented, and they do comply. What they did not do is want to join the consortium that turns their deputies into ICE agents because they don't have the manpower. And they are not alone. Most of the deputies did not, most of the sheriffs did not agree to do it with ICE. It has nothing to do with detainers. It has to do with sending your deputies out as ICE agents to investigate. So get it right.
Okay. I mean, it's semantics, but it's...
No, it's not semantics. It's two different programs.
All right. I mean, I guess, again, we'll have to agree to disagree, but...
Well, you can disagree all you want. I know the program.
I think they were wrong. I think we need to have... I don't think a nation can exist without borders. And
what has that got to do with the local sheriffs? What has that got to do with the local sheriffs not having the manpower to provide their deputies?
Well, I don't buy that excuse. I mean,
well, okay, then don't buy that. That's fine.
But I disagree with the whole situation.
All right, fine.
I think we all ought to be united in securing our borders and getting rid of these violent gangbangers.
What we also need to do is
traffickers, human traffickers.
Yeah, and what we also need to do is deal in facts.
Well, I guess it depends on whose facts we're looking at.
Okay, good enough.
You have a great day.
So long. And here's Greg in Bay City. Greg, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lewis.
Morning.
As my mother would say, you must have the patience of a pope.
I'm not going to be nominated in the conclave. I can guarantee that.
I know that. I know why. But no, I called up on a totally different subject, thank God. But on replacing Mr. Sullivan, Tom Sullivan show.
Yeah.
I would like to see a show like Our American Story with Lee Habib.
I like that show.
I love that show. It's fantastic.
I don't know that there are enough episodes to fill 3 hours every night. That's
I thought maybe
that's the
you and
problem.
Charlie could get. I thought maybe you and Charlie could get back together and do a half hour or so of quiz line.
Oh no! Bite your tongue.
No, that was fun.
For you.
You guys had fun. I think it would be easier to do now because with computers, I know Charlie's a computer wizard. I think he could whip out questions in a heartbeat. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any keychains left.
Somewhere we probably have some saved somewhere. All right.
You should do that on Remembering the Old Days when you do the...
Yeah, that's true.
That was fun. So I just want to say thank you for your show, and I hope... another person I was thinking of, and I don't know... I know he does those podcasts, but that Joe Rogan...
I don't know that he has a show. He does the podcast, but I don't think he has a radio
somebody
show.
Similar to him would be interesting.
There's a lot of people out there like that. So who knows? I mean, they're looking. I have no idea. I'm not privy to the conversation, so I can't say. Anyhow.
I thought that might be a good suggestion.
Greg, very good. Thanks. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye now. All right, and let's see. Paul and Huff, hang on. We'll be with you.
We are all anxiously awaiting you.
All right, we're back with you on the Art Lewis Show. Back to our phones. Paul is in Saginaw. Good morning, Paul.
Morning, Art. Good show today. Art, a lot of people have always been talking about, well, what can we do to eliminate street crime and homelessness? Because, as you know, sometimes those two go hand in hand together. They work together.
At times, yeah.
And sometimes the solution is a tough love solution.
Yeah.
But sometimes that tough love conflicts with the Constitution, because the Constitution says you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And liberty and the pursuit of happiness are the key words and phrases where this can be a problem. Now, my solution for this problem is if Congress and the President and the legislature and the governor pass and sign bills to force these homeless people to go to mental health for a caseworker and a group home to deal with their addictions and their problems, we can eliminate this homelessness and street crime.
Great idea. How are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for it? We don't have enough mental health workers now. We don't have enough mental health beds now. How are you going to pay for it?
That's true. That's true.
So you can't give them a choice that you can't provide the outcome for.
Well, that is very true. Money would have to be appropriated to...
A lot of it.
Right, for the mental health industry. And but that could be, I'm surprised this hasn't been done decades ago.
Decades ago,
crime and homelessness go together. They go together.
Let me point out, decades ago is when we cut mental institutions, mental health beds. So, why are you surprised this happened?
You can thank Governor Engler for that. He wanted everybody to go to a mom-pa group home business.
Long before Engler it happened.
Well, here's another thing that happened.
Big institutions closed.
Here's another thing that happened. Back in the early 2000s, we passed that cigarette tax here in Michigan. All that money was supposed to go to mental health. But guess what? The governor used all that money, cigarette tax money, to balance the budget, because there's a state law that says you got to balance the budget. Mental health didn't get all that cigarette tax money.
I don't remember
it's been going that way all the way down the line.
I don't remember. The cigarette tax was for mental health, or
yes,
it was
sir.
for tobacco abuse and prevention.
Well, all of that had, it's addictions, but that cigarette tax money was supposed to go to mental health, and mental health is going to use it to treat addictions, et cetera, et cetera. And the governor at that time, and subsequent governors have used a lot of that money to